female orgasm happens between her what? That's right, ears. But if you're thinking legs, you're okay too. Today, we are talking about female orgasm and how to keep her coming every time, how to make her come every time. It's going to be a very scientific video, very nerdy. The information I'm going to use is from the book by Emily Nagoski, Come As You Are. I often refer to this book because it's packed with scientific gems and research, and I love science. Even though science can't explain and prove everything, and in fact, now science are coming to prove something and understand that in Taoist, the tantric tradition has been known for hundreds of years. You might have heard about the research findings related to the pleasure centers of the brain. But they're not just pleasure centers, they're responsible for so much more, right? It's like people call vagina and thinking of vulva, right? Vagina is just part of vulva. The same thing refers to that pleasure centers of the brain. It's a deep old part of our brains that's responsible for actually not just pleasure, but all emotional motivational system. So it all gets controlled in one part. So that includes stress responses like fear, disgust, all kinds of love, artistic love and emotional love, and of course sex. So there's been an article a while ago about women who orgasm for the science to help scientists understand what's going on in our bodies and our brains. They have easier time to achieve orgasm if they have socks on. Why? Because it simply makes their feet warmer. So it's a little bit more comfortable because laboratories are not a very sexy environment. It's actually cold. So when they put the socks on, she reaches the orgasm so much easier. Orgasms can happen in a very adverse context. But if we're talking about mind-blowing, seeing rainbows and stars kind of orgasms, then keep on watching. So all our internal states, like what I've experienced earlier, still do, like yearning for something, hunger, thirst, frustration, comfort, discomfort, all happens in that old part of the brain that I mentioned about, and they all interact within themselves in a process called integration. So imagine if we have a goal to reach an orgasm and all of those internal states do not compete between themselves, like they're all in sync and all agree to go for that goal, that's great. But if one of them, like having cold feet, it distracts from the goal and it subtracts. So it's called subtractive integration. And when one state actively reinforces another state, it's called additive integration. So sometimes additive integration is not necessarily good. I'm not going to touch on it in this video. I'm talking about those cases when a husband abuses a woman, he beats her up, let's say, and that adds to her sexual desire. So let's talk about a flock of birds. Do you know how it works? So there's no particular leader in the flock, so it's going to one direction, let's say to the south or to reach an orgasm. And then one bird detects danger, and so she moves away from the flock. So what happens, every single bird follows that bird that just moved away. So imagine our brain is a flock, and then one bird is, let's say, a thought that distracts me to go towards an orgasm, like, oh, I feel my feet are cold, or have I prepared everything for the meeting, for tomorrow's meeting with my boss, right? And it like distracts the whole flock of bird from going south. So the flock can still reach the south eventually, but the more birds are going to move away from the entire flock, the less of an intense and amazing orgasm will be, right? Because they're all different. Sometimes they're shallow, sometimes they're okay, sometimes they're amazing and mind-blowing. So the more birds stay in the flock, the better orgasm a woman will have. So again, what do we need to remember? That peak sexual pleasure happens when the entire collective works together, when every bird is flying to the same direction. That's when the peak, the greatest pleasure happens. So the more the whole system is moving into the same direction, the more orgasm takes over our bodies. So every cell is focused on one single thing, pleasure. So what does that mean? How to actually make her come every time? Now, I always say you can definitely do a lot and influence the environment that she is in, but she is ultimately the master of her pleasure. So she needs to turn all the offs, and you can help her. Like, you can help around the house, you can wash the dishes so she's not stressing, oh, my sink is full of dishes, I gotta do that before I can not feel guilty that I'm a bad housewife, right? Or maybe, you know, she didn't prepare something for her work for tomorrow, or her children are untidy, whatever that is, right? You can help to influence something in that environment that helps her to turn those off. And of course, communication and conversation is the key always. And then she needs to turn all the ons, bring all the birds that support that moving towards ecstasy and pleasure. So once again, the most pleasurable orgasms happen when all of our parts collaborate and move towards one shared goal: ecstasy. I'm so happy that you've watched this video until the end. Thank you. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, I've already prepared a somatic practice for you to connect deeper to your masculine sexuality. Check it, should be somewhere in the link down below. Please subscribe, like it, share it, and see you very soon.